Your pet would like to have a word with you. In fact, your dog, cat, bird, horse, fish, even bearded dragon would like to have an entire conversation with you. But having that trans-species discussion is difficult without an interpreter or go-between, a specifically skilled individual who's been communicating with our animal friends for more than 3 decades, bridging gaps in understanding, elevating relationships, building peace and harmony among all Earth's creatures. That person is Suzan Vaughn, the Animal Whisperer.
In this episode, a week in the life of an animal communicator. Well, it's been a very interesting week. One of those weeks when the Palomino tells you their left rear shoe feels very heavy, where the orange cat pleads for a little more fat in his diet, and where I listen intently to understand why the standard poodle is a barking fool. But the puzzles in our animals' attempts to communicate with us don't stop there. There's Danny Boy, the 2-legged cat that's having trouble with cat box manners. We introduced you to Danny a few months back. He's the tuxedo cat named after Lieutenant Dan from the Forrest Gump movies. You remember Lieutenant Dan. He was the guy who lost both of his legs in Vietnam and ended up in a wheelchair. Well, Danny Cat is named after the man because she has only half of her back legs. Veterinarians say her cat mom's umbilical cord was most likely wrapped around her knees, so the bottom part of her legs had to be amputated, literally cut off at the knees. Well, Danny is presenting me with a puzzle that I'm having trouble completely unraveling. She tells me her back end feels weak. She says when she hangs over the side of her litter box, it helps her eliminate. Probably a colon massage type of situation. But anyway, she's been pooing and peeing inside, and I'm trying to understand why and resolve that issue. I've heard what she has to say, and I'm letting her know why we can't live with fecal material inside of our homes. There are a lot of questions to ask a cat who's pooing and peeing all over the house, though. First, Monsieur Cat, when your brain gets the message that you have to go, does it give you enough time to get to the box? Or is the comprehension delayed? Then, is the litter in her litter box acceptable? Is the cleanliness of the litter box to her standard? When your body announces it has to go, is there an urgency or any pain involved? Here are Danny's answers. No pain or urgency. Litter box is fine, and she has 2 styles to choose from. But when she thinks of going, the need to go is immediate. That could signal a UTI, but that's not coming through as the problem. Danny continues showing a picture of a weak back end. I've told her a kitty diaper might be in store, and I asked if she was willing to leave this body. Of course, like most animals, she was quite detached, saying, "Sure, I'll choose a healthy body next time." There had been some changes in Danny's household. Her human mom, Shelby, now had a new significant other, but Danny said she was very fond of Brandon, ruling out any problem there. I'm not a diagnostician, but I can ask our animal friends where it hurts and what it feels like to them under certain circumstances. Cats and elimination problems, they're completely different than dogs and elimination problems, though. Usually it's a completely different focus. For one thing, they don't use a litter box. We expect them to go outside. And in many cases, dogs have early traumas about elimination. If they have ever been feral, they have experienced the displeasure of people who don't want them to eliminate in their yards or fields. They may have been sprayed with a hose, yelled at, been hit with objects, shot at, had a bullhorn blown at them, or any manner of expressed disapproval for eliminating in an inappropriate place. Animal communicators can ask a dog about elimination issues and clear out that trauma almost immediately. Many clients would like their dogs to go potty in one particular place, especially people with young kids. I had a client this week that wanted her dog to eliminate in a side yard. I introduced the many types of ground in the side yard, letting this dog know how many surfaces were available to him, including rock, sand, and grass. I also let this dog know what a fine offering they had for him, and to avoid the grassy backyard where the kids played with him. The situation was improved in the following weeks, but complicated by a busy household that was inconsistent with the side yard request. One of the highlights this week was Patricio the duck. What a huge reversal of fortunes for Patricio, who was one day away from being sold to a Chinese restaurant. Anita, my client, convinced Patricio's caretakers to let her keep him. Well, she'd never had a duck before, but she had a great time learning all about this juvenile black Muscovy duck. He was transported to her in a gunny sack, and once freed, Anita introduced him to his new garden. She made a wood ramp to help Patricio get himself into the swimming tub because it had rubber walls too high for him to jump over. With his wings clipped, the ramp was an invaluable tool, and Anita found him happily swimming in the tub the next morning. Patricio the duck was the one who called his situation a magnificent reversal of fortunes. He said for most of his life, people in Peru looked at him as dinner. Then all of a sudden this lady comes along looking at him as an interesting being she'd like to take care of. He was at first puzzled and surprised, then relieved and grateful. So all was well with Patricio, except that Anita was about to leave Peru. This medical professional offers services to Peruvians twice a year, and her stint was coming to a close. She wanted him to know he was going to another wonderful place where they were building him a mini swimming pool, much bigger than his current plastic tub. Her friend Farah had a big yard, and she agreed to become his new guardian. For the transport, Anita bought a small dog carrier that Patricio could stand up in. Farah would be picking Patricio up the following Saturday. We gave him all the information to make sure he wouldn't be scared, and we also asked him to cooperate with our plans to get him into the carrier peacefully. Besides giving Patricio the information about relocating him, Anita wanted him to know she really enjoyed getting to know his species. She appreciated his teachings. She hoped he would enjoy his new home and garden, where he would be well treated and given his favorite foods. Anita named them as pellets, mango, watermelon, and cracked corn. What's not to love if you're a Muscovy duck, right? Next, Anita wondered if he wanted a female companion. He said he'd like to settle into the new place as a solo duck. He'd consider another duck companion later, but for the time being he was contented to be the only duck. Finally, Patricio's wings were clipped when he arrived, and Anita didn't want to clip them anymore. Patricio, of course, heartily agreed, but Anita wanted him to know that it would be much safer for him if he stayed in Farah's yard and didn't fly away with his new unclipped wings. The duck understood completely and was anxious to settle into a safe and nurturing environment for a second time. He was going to love his new swimming pool, and while Anita was leaving Peru, she wasn't abandoning her duck friend altogether. She wanted Patricio to know that she would be visiting him in Peru twice a year, a truly happy ending for Patricio the duck. But back to Danny, the tuxedo cat, the very able cat with stubs for back legs. I'm still working on Danny Cat's problem. I don't know what the answer is right now, but every choice available to her people is a tough one. Kitty diapers are a nasty mess. Euthanasia seems untenable. Danny's loss of control in her hindquarters is a tough situation to deal with, and I've got my heart open to heaven for any other guidance available. Those are some of my animal communication stories for this week. Thanks for tuning in, and remember to honor all sentient beings on our little blue planet. I'm Suzan Vaughn.
For more episodes in the series, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. To learn all about Suzan Vaughn and her services, visit our website at animalwhisperer.net. Be part of the community by subscribing to her Facebook page, animalwhisperer.net. Then sign up for Suzan's newsletter to enjoy more of her fascinating animal-human communication stories. So, until next time, join Suzan as she talks to the animals on The Animal Whisperer.